Hello and welcome to the fourth recording of the Al and Jerry Football Podcast with me, Jerry, and my buddy Al.
What's up, guys? How you all doing? Hope you all are having a lovely Friday evening so far, right? Hoping that you guys are going to be having a good weekend. We've got fantastic cracking matches over the weekend. Some really blockbuster games that are going to be going on, and also
Damn
some
right.
transfers. Also some transfers that perhaps might be players that you might have heard about. Some wee player in Italy wants to come to Manchester.
A certain Portuguese, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, the best Portuguese in the league now is Diego Jota, so I'm not too sure he'd be really
Oh, Man
usurping
United fans
Diego
are going to go,
Jota.
oh.
Oh, yeah. Hello and welcome to a re-edited version of the Al and Jerry Football Podcast with me, Jerry, and my buddy Al.
Viva Ronaldo!
Viva Ronaldo! Running down the wing, Man United sing, Viva Ronaldo. Coming to
Fantastic
you
Ronaldo.
with a late night reaction is exactly 2:09 a.m. Malaysian time. Well, 2:09 a.m. Malaysian time. And a lot has gone down in this couple of hours. Okay, just to bring you guys in. Cristiano Ronaldo, legend, long-time legend, five-time Ballon d'Or winner, and five-time UEFA Champions League winner, has just re-signed with Manchester United. Okay, let us have a round of applause for all
Well done.
United
Well
fans
done.
out there and for the club. What a transfer window this has been. So this marks almost the end of the transfer window now. And this is just crazy. I don't even know what to say to this point. I think from a neutral point of view, as a fan, just seeing Ronaldo back in the Premier League is just really, it's just monumental. Even I myself was having slight chills. So I'm just read the statement by Manchester United on their website. Manchester United is delighted to confirm that the club has reached an agreement with Juventus for the transfer of Cristiano Ronaldo, subject to agreement of personal terms, visa, and medical. Cristiano, a five-time Ballon d'Or winner, has won over 30 major trophies during his career, including 5 UEFA Champions League titles, 4 FIFA Club World Cups, and 7 league titles in England, Spain, and Italy, as well as the European Championship for his native Portugal. In his first spell for Manchester United, he scored 118 goals in 292 games. Everyone at the club looks forward to welcoming Cristiano back at Manchester. So this is the official United statement by the club. Wow. I mean,
Big news.
you just had to spend one page alone just reading all that he's won and all that he's scored. So, Al, I know you as a Ronaldo fan. I mean, we spoke about this yesterday. One point, the City fans thought he'd be going to the blue half of Manchester. And what a U-turn he has made, literally gone to the other side.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Tell me what you think.
It was all set for him to be a Man City player, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even when we recorded our podcast just now, I think we were conversing in him being more of a City player, and all of a sudden a hijack. I've never seen hijackings like this.
Even
It,
Jack Sparrow and the Pirates of the Caribbean couldn't do a
no,
heist
not,
like this, man.
no, not even close. You can call your money heist. You can call your whatever
Italian
not
jobs. This was a real
Italian
Italian
jobs.
job, going and getting the gold and coming back from Italy.
Yeah, apparently Rio Ferdinand was reported to be involved. Alex Ferguson, and I don't know how many of the old boys. Patrice Evra. I guess those ex players played a big role in the shift, if there was any shift, right,
Yeah.
for Ronaldo to be joining Man United. But of course, as for the Premier League as a whole, as for the euphoria behind the games, I don't think he's going to be starting on Saturday. Probably would be only coming into Man United after the international break. But I think this is fantastic news, not only just for Ronaldo, but also for the Premier League as a whole as well, right? I felt that Man City would not have been the greatest fit And even for that matter, if I'm being very honest, being a Ronaldo fan as well, Manchester United have sufficient players in attack. I think their weaknesses lie
Yeah.
elsewhere. But of course,
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. Even if he would have signed for Brentford or a Man United, he improves the team leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Training sessions, the general confidence of the team, the morale. What a boost! What a boost! And of course, man, as a player, going back to your former club where you've begun, the sentiment behind that, I suppose, looking at all things considered, a good move for Ronaldo, good move for any team that going to be signing in. That, of course, we're going to be talking about Man United, how they're going to be looking in the weeks to come, and we will cover that, I'm sure, in the podcasts that are going to be coming after this as well. But yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I mean, looking at Cristiano Ronaldo, looking at joining a big club, looking at joining a club where he's already made himself. I think that's the other big point to also take into account. It's a king's welcome, and I just saw on Twitter somebody posted. They said that if you thought Varane's entry to the stadium was epic, this is going to be on a whole different other level.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to be
It's return of the king.
Yeah,
like Aragorn's reception. Aragorn's reception.
Yeah,
when he when he was called the king of Gondor, when he returned back.
Frodo's
return. Yeah. Or even the prodigal son, guys. You know, you can say that he's gone away and come back.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
come back.
Yep.
I guess he never found a home out there, but
Yeah,
coming back to England at a specific time also, Alex, I just wanted to touch on this point here, a specific time in his career, because he is obviously 36 years old of age, turning 37 next year. So this might probably be sort of the last dance, like how Michael Jordan had his last dance with the Chicago Bulls, winning those titles. I mean, this is also significant in the fact that this may be the last big hurrah for Ronaldo, last big chance for him to sort of make a name for himself and compete and win some titles. Because I feel any titles he wins at this point at United would really signal such a give a fairy tale ending, basically. The story.
Definitely.
I just wanted to ask you in terms of obviously finding a space for him in attack to play. I mean, that's number one, I think, on Ollie's agenda. Pressure on Ollie now. Ollie's at the wheel.
Yeah,
He's
pressure, immense pressure on him. He's got to deliver.
Yeah, yeah. But I just wanted to ask you what he would do sort of for the team, how he would elevate the team for the training ground, just him stepping into the training center with all the players around him. What kind of influence do you think he can have? Mainly for starting with Manchester United and then definitely moving on to the league and the English Premier League, and sort of in the end, just tell me a little bit about his legacy and what he will do.
I think if you look at the striking options and generally the attack of Man United, you've got Sancho, you've got Rashford, you've got Greenwood, you've got Martial. Those are all very fairly young players. And I think it can only be extremely fundamental and advantages for them in having a striker like Ronaldo, right, coming onto the training pitch, imparting that knowledge, having
just his presence alone.
Yeah, just that presence over there. You know, we've seen pictures of Cristiano Ronaldo with a young, can't remember, was it Danny Welbeck or there was an old picture and Ruud van Nistelrooy with all of these younger strikers and stuff like that. And I think it could be replicated in a sense, because if you look at the striking options for Man United, they're fairly young.
Yeah.
And I think they've still got lots to learn, right? Yeah. We were speaking about Martial just a couple of days back, and what's going to happen to him. We were speaking about him just now. Hey, it could be a turn of events. You know, you've got somebody, and I think everybody wants to also do well. You know, when you've got the best player, one of the best players joining your team, right? It lifts the general mood of everybody as well.
Yeah. It's a chance for you to reignite your career, whoever you are. Actually, just looking at an example like that, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great chance to reignite your career, to start to play with that sort of a player, that sort of a caliber of a international level, world-class player, right? I mean, it's a big test of the mettle for those players as well. You know, you're clearly going to be seeing who wants to stay and who wants to perhaps venture into other experiences elsewhere. And I'm looking at everybody, general morale by all the players, your Rashfords, your Bruno Fernandes. I think everybody's raring to go and play with these guys. And I can imagine Jadon Sancho to be, to be already lifted. As it is, he definitely wants to start off his Man United career so well. This is going to be an extra boost. As it is, I believe he is already being boosted. He's already being put in under so much of immense pressure. You've got to deliver. You're at a big club, right? Now you're going to have to deliver with the likes of Ronaldo. And I think all of these players, whilst there is a pressure, there's also going to be that essential point of where they have to say, look, you've got to do better. I've got to raise my game. I've got to be providing more. I've got to be doing. I've got to be stepping up in this very Man United team, and that goes for the manager as well. Pressure is really high on him. I also would like to see Cristiano Ronaldo play with Edinson Cavani, right? Edinson Cavani is not your typical Karim Benzema, but Ronaldo played fantastically well with Benzema, right? Benzema is also the fox in the box sort of a striker. I think they're not exactly the same. Cavani is a little bit different, right? But he could play with Cavani as well. So if you look at all the options, definitely he improves them, right? I go back again to whatever I mentioned. Man United did not necessarily need him. I thought the weaknesses were elsewhere, but he definitely improves them by abundance. You're going to get goals with this man. That's what you know. You're going to get fantastic timing in the box. Somebody who's going to be latching on to your Paul Pogba sort of process. We saw that against Leeds United. We saw that missing against Southampton to a certain degree. And United's got to deliver. I think if you look at Man United and their aspirations this year, it's got to be minimum title win if you look at it now. I mean, it's only fair to say that, I think.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on Cristiano and the return of the Red Devil.
Return of the Red Devil. He returns to the flames. From the flames he was born, and the flames he will be born again, like Phoenix rising.
Exactly. With a little help from some friends, as the
little help from some friends, yeah. Obviously, he's going to split the penalties with Fernandes. I think that's the biggest disaster here for Fernandes. But like you said, he will have the support there. He will definitely have the support. He will definitely have the providence of those passes in behind with the likes of Fernandes and Pogba. So I just want to reiterate the fact. I mean, from a neutral point of view, from whether you're a Liverpool fan or you're Arsenal fan or you're a City fan, I think this really opens the eyes of all the fans out there. This captures your attention. This definitely has to capture your attention, because this is a player coming back to England after winning all that, and he has been consistent. I mean, United has been looking for consistency to win the title. They need consistency to win the title. And he has been performing at that consistent level. Obviously, just to give you guys more stats is, since joining Juventus, he's already got 100 plus goals, 101, 102 goals,
crazy,
if I'm not mistaken, in 200 something games. So he's already matched his numbers that he did at United, Real Madrid, and done that at Juventus. So this itself tells you, and he was the top scorer along with Lukaku for the past few seasons in Italy. So by no means has he dropped his standard. By no means has he dropped his standard. So I guess we won't get into it too much. We'll wait for him to step onto the field and see sort of the reception. I mean, this is a big moment for English football, I guess. And Al, I thought Messi's was the biggest transfer of the window.
I know. I mean, I'm worried as to what's going to come next.
Yeah.
I could there be another another signal to get Harry Kane from Tottenham Hotspur? Could there be a last-ditch deal?
Come and play with the best in the world, isn't it? Come and play with the best in the world. Now he can't deny that, actually. Just one more point just to add on, Al, as we just round up this sort of Ronaldo discussion that we have. I just want to ask you sort of a leadership. As a leader, I think United missed the leadership under Sir Alex Ferguson. And slowly has been trying to get that back after Van Gaal and Mourinho. I think Oli has brought a certain level of leadership, maybe not in terms of world-class tactics and sort of world-class presence, but I think him and Carrick can sort of use Ronaldo as that sort of leader, whether off the pitch, on the pitch, wherever it is in the dressing room. I think with the likes of Oli and Carrick there, I think United has always relied on some old legends. I mean, Rio as well in the background, giving his sort of his opinions and sort of his views on United. I'm sure Ronaldo could act as a leadership. I mean, a leader
No,
in that
definitely,
team. Yeah,
without a doubt. I think without a doubt, what you're going to get is, I mean, Solskjaer and Cristiano played together, right? And I think Cristiano played with Michael Carrick as well, right? So Cristiano is going to definitely install some backroom leadership in that Man
definitely.
United squad, that's for sure. And I think that's been missing for a long time, right? Harry Maguire, to a certain degree, has been playing a more leadership role at the moment at Man United. But if you really take Harry Maguire out of the equation, and maybe Bruno Fernandes for that matter, there's not much senior figures within the team itself, playing within the team itself. All those Man United teams of the past used to have very strong leaders. You talk about Roy Keane, Gary
Yeah,
Neville, all of these players. And definitely Cristiano could install some form of that leadership in the game and also after the game and outside of the game, which is of course very important as well.
yeah.
This
Roy
is not
Kino
necessarily
can't complain about this one. Sorry, for the
yeah,
for the
definitely,
Kino is not going to be able to
definitely.
complain about this one. Yeah,
Yeah, no. I mean, you look at all the top teams, right? They don't necessarily be captains, right? I mean, Jordan Henderson is a leader, right? But so is Virgil van Dijk to a certain degree, right?
yeah,
Leadership works on the pitch as well, right? And I think Ronaldo, he's going to come with all of those things. He's going to come with all of that. I perhaps a small little counter argument before we go off is that some fans have bit their lips a little bit or bit their tongues a little bit to say we don't want this to be a Di Maria Falcao debacle, and of course that's the fear, I suppose, but or rather an Alexis Sanchez sort of a problem that Man United fans were giddy at the start, but ultimately came to nothing. But you mentioned a good point. This man would be turning 37 years old, but he doesn't play like a 37-year-old man.
yeah.
The seriousness of the game is definitely much more greater to Cristiano's level, and this is a person who scored more goals than Romelu Lukaku, but transferred to Man United for what, 20 million or something like that. But Lukaku went for 96 million. So I mean, if
Yeah.
you're basing it based on goals,
Kaku must be annoyed, man, to see him here. It's like you didn't leave me in Italy, now you're coming back to England. Like,
yeah, I know. I mean, there's always a question mark, I suppose. Whether he can perform to the level that he did when he was in England the last time around. But I don't think comparing Alexis Sanchez and Di Maria's with Cristiano's are on the same level. I think it's different. So on that sense, I do believe he will perform. Whether he'll perform to Man United's strengths is a different story altogether. That's I think it's yet to be seen. Because to me, I mean, if you look at it on a Man United perspective, minimum they should be challenging for the title. No questions asked about that. That's I think the minimum
yeah,
that you have to understand about this. But yeah, they've got a challenge. They've got to definitely look to be wanting to win the title. That's got to be the minimum for Ole.
yeah, yeah. So, guys, I guess that's that. United fans, do enjoy the weekend. Do enjoy all the banter that you're going to be enjoying during the weekend. I mean, Sir Alex must be a happy old man out there. I think he'd have
Yeah,
pulled him by the ear from Etihad if he had ever decided even once to go back to that blue half. But yeah, you can't snitch on your old man, can you? I mean, the
you
old man
can't, you
is,
can't. That
yeah, I can't snitch on your old man. It's like snitching on your dad almost.
yeah. What a hijack! I can imagine Ronaldo must have been getting calls after calls after calls, being
Yeah,
bombarded by the old boys, and yeah, it had to come to Man United at the end of the day after all of this persuasion, and so the persuasion works, I suppose. But I mean, it's not really it's not a big loss for City as well. I mean,
yeah,
they've got a
yeah,
good team. I
yeah.
mean, they
They've
probably
got
would
a
have
certain
benefited.
$100 million man waiting there
Yeah, I mean,
with
Jack
his nice
Grealish,
cars and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Jack Grealish would be more of the happier of the parties as well, I suppose. I mean,
yeah,
if you look at it, if Ronaldo comes to any team, whether it's a Man United or Man City, he's probably going to be starting every week. I don't think any manager would leave such a caliber of a player on the bench, which of course, again, brings us, we will talk about this on another level, on another day, what's going to happen to the rest of the team. But like we mentioned, they've got to fight for their spot. They've got to be upping their game, your likes of your Anthony Martials and all of these players. They've got to do better now. I think if there was any incentive the Ronaldo incentive would be one which is very, very alarmingly so significant today.
Yeah, yeah. So just to end on that point, Ronaldo rounding off such a crazy transfer window. Just to give you some throwbacks here. I think Messi moving, that was a big transfer. Lukaku moving, that was a big transfer. Grealish as well, big signing. Harry Kane, not quite the move, but I think this really rounds it all off. So just to end here, guys, thanks a lot, Al, for your little feedback and the little comment there.
Likewise,
I
likewise,
think
Jerry.
football fans all over the world, wow, what a day, what a day. So 2:28 a.m. Just giving you a slight re-edit, sort of a live reaction to his move. I think we couldn't wait till the morning for this one. We had to
Yeah, definitely.
pull an all-nighter just to wait for this deal to be done. So I
Yep,
guess, but yeah, we've got lots to get on. In terms of obviously responding to a comment and then just getting into some of the transfers, the UCL Group Draw, and a preview for this week's games. So, wow, what a week it's been, Al.
What a week. What a week.
We could literally do hours of this, and hopefully we get to do that soon. So I'm just going to start by responding to a comment from our last video. So this is regarding the Anthony Martial situation. So basically last week he had started the match for United against Southampton, leading the front line, but sort of didn't have the performance a lot of fans might have expected of him, and it did raise a few questions, and we did speak about it during the podcast. So Desmond, thanks for your comment, man. You said here, I feel Martial needs to either get his head back in the game or leave and find his motivation in another club. He was dreaming in the last game. Thanks for your comment, Des. Yes, I guess in a sense that's what we spoke about. He wasn't fully on form in the last game, I guess, especially to lead the line in Manchester United now, especially as they're looking this season to sort of probably get their hands on a title after a long time. I replied, Marshall was having a partial last weekend.
A bit too long now, a bit of a lengthy partial.
Yeah, a bit of a lengthy partial by Marshall. So you got multiple puns, I think, in that one. So just to expand on this, so I was watching Rio's podcast the other day, and basically they were speaking about Marshall, and they were saying if he does along the same lines as Des, your comment, if he does not find his form, should it be better for him to move on and probably find some motivation in another club elsewhere, different challenges? And they also basically brought up the situation with Phil Jones. He's been at the club for a while now, but he's had recurring injuries and he hasn't been a regular for a team like Manchester United to be fighting for places week in, week out. So basically the topic of conversation was, is Jones sort of taking a place of a better player they could bring in, or maybe a youngster who's looking to break through? So regarding the Martial and Jones situation, I just want to ask you, Al, should players like this, who are probably not having the best form at their clubs, just sort of hang around at the club and accept these new contracts, or should they be looking to move on, or should the club encourage them to sort of move on? And like Rio said, Jones can even go out on loan and find a move there. So and find some extra motivation, I guess. So what do you think about that situation, Al?
See, number one, this definitely comes down to the hunger of the players. I think if you look at it, I mean, in comparison, both Phil Jones and Anthony Martial, I think Anthony Martial perhaps does have a foot in the Man United team at least, even though he's not been performing very well. But firstly, on Phil Jones, now, I think Rio is spot on. He might have gotten flack whatsoever, but Rio is spot on. Look, you giving a contract, or rather a continuation or wages being paid to a player like Phil Jones, who doesn't start, not even on the bench, not even playing in your reserves. Number one, that's not going to be freeing up the wage bill, and you're definitely hindering talent from coming through. You see, we talk about things like this. We want young players to come through and so on and so forth, but you've got to remember Premier League, the Champions League, we all have to register players before it starts. You see, it all has got to be down to numbers as well. So it's not a simple, all right, he's not playing, let's get someone else, unless of course there's an injury, unless of course somebody is cup tied and lost, transfer policies, whatnot. So coming back to Rio's comment on Phil Jones and of course Anthony Martial, definitely, I think if Phil Jones is not getting a game, Phil Jones definitely has got to be looking at who needs to sign somebody like Phil Jones. I've been hearing talk about him moving to, say, Division 1. I think that's fantastic, right? If he could get a move in the Premier League, perhaps some of the bottom teams, that would be fantastic as well. Fantastic for Phil Jones. He could get a good run of games.
Yeah.
But again, would a player want to just sit around in the club, and wait on the sidelines?
Perhaps sitting while the team is playing. And of course, on Anthony Martial, that's a slightly more delicate situation because Martial's not been having the best of games. Well, at least he's starting. So of course, that's not in the same category as Phil Jones, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at Anthony Martial, if you honestly look at consistency over a season, I think his best season came when he was playing under Louis van Gaal. He had a very patchy season under Mourinho.
Yes.
He did well under Solskjaer, perhaps during the early parts of Solskjaer's tenure. But even after that, it started drying up for Anthony Martial, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Sancho could have started the last game
Yeah,
before him
definitely.
in the team. Yeah.
Definitely. And probably Man
You see-
United would have won the game, you see?
Yeah.
And if you look at Anthony Martial, I think for him, and even Ole is probably thinking the same, this is going to be in many ways a real big make or break season. Man United may be looking of shipping him out on loan, perhaps at the end of the season if Martial doesn't play well, or perhaps in an offer deal to get perhaps a certain Erling Haaland, might be in a trade to Borussia Dortmund. I mean, I'm just playing around with the whole transfer policies and so on, but Anthony Martial's got to show some consistency. He's got to have his head in the game. We all know he's a talented player, but we just haven't seen it enough. Consistency has been a big problem. It's very hot and cold with Anthony Martial. When he's hot, he's fantastic. We all remember when he burst onto the scene against Liverpool, right? But he's also had many games where it's just very much just ghosted on his own pace and not really bothered. And of course, that sometimes angers me because when we know the players have the talent and when they don't show up, it's a real big waste. So of course, just echoing what Rio said again, I think he's right. I think Rio is right. I think managers perhaps, and I do believe Ole is a manager like that. They've got to be stronger. If players like your Donny van der Beeks, like your Anthony Martials, if they can't fit your system or they can't consistently play to your system, well, that's got to be out of the door. Again, you've got to behave like a club who wants to win something, and that's how you've got to behave. Right, you can't wait long for players like this. So Rio is spot on. Rio is spot on, Jerry. I don't think anything that he said wrong here.
Yeah, I think aside from contracts, aside from prices, let's be real here. You're moving away from the actual thing of playing football. Playing football, enjoying the game, basically. You don't want to be talking about the contracts and everything and money, but not playing football. I think every player wants to be playing week in, week out, and having these performances in front of the fans and everything. So I guess not having sort of a place and not getting a good run of games and maybe the club not working out for you, you might sort of lose that sort of passion that you have. I mean, both of us have stepped out on the field. I think basically it's what happens in that 90 minutes. I think nothing else matters. I think your whole life revolves around what happens in those 90 minutes. I mean, once you step on the pitch and you come out of it, nothing else matters, right?
Yeah,
really.
Definitely.
So I mean, players like this will be looking definitely. I mean, we know the potential of Phil Jones and Anthony Martial. I think they could potentially be world-class players, but probably in the right team. Like, you look like a player like Tammy Abraham. I think he could have stayed at Chelsea, but and just kept the bench there and sort of, been a substitute, stayed in London, stayed comfortable where he was at that point of time. But he decided to take a challenge, and in his first game, he got 2 assists, and he was one of the main attacking threat in that Roma game. So, yeah, interesting. Thanks for that, Al. I mean, interesting point to discuss there. So, I guess moving on, TalkSport, Simon Jordan and Jim White from TalkSport. Guys, if you watch TalkSport, you might know these people. Or go check out TalkSport if you want some highly controversial content and very clickbait content, I would say.
Mm.
I mean, they've got some solid stuff there, but I think they're more for a bit of the whack jobs in the UK at that point. Few of those fans are. So basically, what Simon Jordan said was that Rio is out of place for saying that about Phil Jones, knowing that he's been in that club before, he's played with that player. But I think, let's be real, if you're a champion like Rio and you've played that long in the title-winning team, winning that much success for your club, you know what competition is like. You know what the struggle is every year to turn in those performances and to get those, to keep that form week, year in, year out. They know what it's like to keep that level on a high level, the world-class level. So, I mean, I agree with you. I wouldn't question Rio on that, definitely. But I do think as a former player, he could approach his players, He could approach his players personally and definitely let them know these views or let them know what he thinks. But then again, it's just a game of opinions, I guess. So, yeah, definitely. I think you have a point there. I think he could definitely move on to a different club and find his spark. And it's interesting because football is a game that waits for nobody. It's constantly on the move. It's constantly moving. So it's not going to wait for you, whether you're waiting to find your form or even injuries for that matter. Few players' careers have been ruined by just injuries and not getting regular game time. So, yeah, do tell us what you think, those who are listening. And yeah, I guess that's that on that whole situation. So, moving on, Al, transfer
What's next?
windows
Transfers.
gonna end this week. So
Risky business, this.
gonna see some wheeling and dealing like Harry Redknapp during the last few days. I saw. Yeah, remember that whole thing of him getting Benjani to Manchester City?
Yeah.
Literally drove the player to the airport just to get him out of the club.
Harry Redknapp was banter before banter became popular.
Yeah, Harry Redknapp's OG, legend of the game.
OG.
You guys know, you'll be listening, you know all about this man. But obviously with his former club, Spurs and Daniel Levy, I think Daniel Levy won. He won the battle between City and Kane. I guess Daniel Levy is the happiest man now. Reports that, Harry Kane even coming out and saying that he's staying. So looks like Harold didn't get to leave. Huh? Harold didn't get to fly away from.
It's not exactly Guantanamo Bay, but it's more like White Hart Lane.
Yeah, the prison of Daniel Levy and White Hart Lane. For me personally, I definitely feel for Harry in that sense where he probably would have had a gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy saying that if Tottenham don't do well and they don't win the trophies, that due to a gentleman's agreement maybe between the both of them, Daniel Levy would allow him to go. But in the end, he basically said, no, this is business. You're signed to a contract and you abide by the contract. So for me, I feel that regardless how it might have been a bit hard on Harry Kane, but I feel that's how clubs should be managed. I feel, that's the best way. You would want a CEO like Daniel Levy to be.
Yeah, no, Gary Neville mentioned that he's one of the top running CEOs. He gave him some props on Sky Sports, I do remember. And spot on, Daniel Levy, I think he's just protecting the worth of Tottenham Hotspur as well. I think in a lot of ways, Harry Kane's top striker, so that means City's got to pay up. And I think I'm not sure what was the payment like. Was it 150 to 180 million? But City had already spent 100 million already. You see, so how much they could actually rack up for Harry Kane. But again, with footballers, there's always going to be next season. I don't know what the arrangement with Daniel Levy was. But yeah, Harry Kane, he's staying at Spurs. Big news, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually felt that they needed Kane more than they needed Grealish, to be honest.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think if Kane goes on to possibly score the goals this season and maybe win them a trophy at the end of the season, I think Spurs fans would be quite quick to forgive him. Yeah. I saw over the week, I was just looking at some fan reactions that some of the Spurs fans gave. A lot of them were saying they understood Harry Kane's decision. They weren't really opposing that decision. A lot of them were even asked the question, would they choose to hold on to Harry Kane or win a title? A lot of them were saying like we'd rather win the title and let Harry go. Some were saying we'd rather have both. So I mean, I think the Spurs fans in this sense they're not really bothered whether he goes or he stays. I think a few of them would like him to stay, but I think definitely this is another challenge for Harry Kane. I think professional as he is, I think he's someone who would resume back to his normal playing form and go back to playing football rather than have all this talk. I don't think he's a player who would have liked to go through this situation at Spurs.
Yeah. No, well, you mentioned the word professional there. And, sometimes some players, when they're trying to push for a transfer, we've seen this before. We've seen how unprofessional they are. And I just hope that for Harry Kane, that he does a Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho, we all know, was going to or imminently going to be leaving Borussia Dortmund a season ago. Now, the deal didn't go through, but he still carried on playing well for Dortmund. Now, we hope to see the same for Harry Kane. And sometimes respectfulness towards the club is very important. He did score 2 goals, I think, Harry Kane, this morning or the day before. Spurs were playing with someone, and Harry Kane did score goals. And just so you know, Jerry, I think Spurs fans are on the way of forgiving him already. They've already started singing. He's one of our own. Harry Kane is one of our own, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I think this is just a gut feeling. I think Man City's transfer policy this year has been a little bit haywire, maybe because of all the unexpectedness in the transfer window. Now, usually the thing is with Man City, I think they're quite sharp with transfers. I think they
seems like a YOLO policy. You only live once.
Yeah,
just go
exactly.
It
seems a bit like a YOLO policy,
Yeah.
and that's unlike them. City have fantastic transfer policies. Of course, they've also got the money at the disposal. Now, that's a big deal, obviously, right? But it feels like they had no outlet, and I think Jack Grealish being 100 million, you spot on that. I think if anything, the Harry Kane purchase should have gone on first. That's just my opinion. I think they needed Harry Kane more.
Yeah.
Because with the remaining, would you have purchased the Jack Grealish? You might be purchasing a certain Portuguese star for 30 million or so. But again, I don't think City's policy has been fantastic this year. Of course, having said that, they do have a fantastic team. But yeah, I totally agree. If you're talking about the one thing that Man City lacks, when we talk especially about the big games, like we saw in the Champions League final, they lack the number 9. Which is again, it's very odd to me, because they're usually the sort who really settles their weaknesses very quickly. We've seen it with their centre-back problem, their goalkeeper problem. Claudio Bravo wasn't quite working out. They went and got Edison. But this season, it doesn't quite feel that way. But of course, it's still yet to pan out. And they still have a fantastic team. And yeah, well, we'll have to know. But at the moment, Harry Kane is staying at Spurs until further notice, of course.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess that's it basically with Harold and the Chronicles of Daniel. I guess we can call it the Chronicles of Daniel Levy. So yeah, I mean, I think he's a professional, and I think he would give his best for Spurs until eventually he leaves. I think all Spurs fans hoping that he can win. I think it's only right that he wins a trophy with Spurs before he leaves, really.
Yeah, I remember when Cristiano Ronaldo was modeling for this Clear Man shampoo. I don't know whether you've seen the advertisements. He would be modeling for this Clear Man shampoo.
Oh yeah.
And
with the little hair he has, he became a hair shampoo.
Exactly. It just doesn't make sense. If you get Marwan Fellaini, then I get it. But this is Cristiano Ronaldo modeling for a shampoo ad, and the clear shampoos started selling everywhere. You go to Tesco, you had the bots, you had.
I have a confession, Al. I bought clear shampoo.
There you go.
I totally did. And it didn't really work for my hair, to be honest.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? And I have a confession too. I bought it as well. So yeah, look at us, a bunch of two fellas, using a shampoo, which probably Ronaldo usually uses it.
Yeah.
Let's give it a try. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
if
tells you,
Ronaldo
I mean,
uses it, it's definitely the best. It's the best
yeah,
out there.
exactly. So this is a brand. This is a brand that needs to keep on rebranding. And the way I look at it is that if you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, best player in the world, or perhaps joint best player in the world with the rival who's just gone to PSG, who obviously arguably are a galactical club at the moment. If you look at it, Cristiano Ronaldo's got to be moving somewhere where that brand is going to be continuing to be ascending. Now, see, the thing is, if you look at his choice of movement, now Juventus can't afford him, right? I know perhaps some comments have been made against him and so on and so forth, but how many clubs can actually afford a Cristiano Ronaldo, right? PSG would be in the mix if fair play wasn't there, I believe, right? PSG
Yeah.
would definitely be in the mix. You look at everybody. AC Milan can't afford him. Bayern Munich probably don't want him. They've got a ready-made striker already there. Bayern Munich don't operate in that way with the likes of PSG and Man City, who's probably very heavily linked towards him. Which of course leaves you with the English teams, right? Liverpool, your Arsenals, your Tottenhams, which I think Arsenal and Spurs are a fantastic fit for him if you're asking me personally, but that's of course a whole different question altogether. But yeah, definitely if you look at those with the biggest financial power in UK, who is it? It's Man City, right? Man City's got a top team. Man City's got a top manager, probably the best manager in the league, some would argue, right? Cristiano Ronaldo, the brand, definitely want to go there. And honestly, if you're looking at it on a branding perspective, I definitely get that, right? Your brand's got to be staying relevant. This isn't
It raises the profile basically of Manchester City.
raises the profile. Back in the day, 20 years ago, you could get a World Cup hero like Fabrizio Ravanelli going to Middlesbrough. You could get your Juninho's going to Middlesbrough. It was different back then. You can't get a Cristiano, and again, no disrespect, you can't get a Cristiano Ronaldo going to West Ham United. Now, West Ham is a fantastic historical club, but it's not going to be doing him such good for his brand. And of course, how's his brand going to be working further? I think Man City perhaps are going to be helping him. Though on a footballing level, of course, I've got huge question marks as to where he should go, right? I'm struggling to think how he would work under a Guardiola-like system. I'm struggling to think with all your talented wingers and attacking players at your disposal. I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo is going to want to play League Cup games and FA Cup matches and start here and there. I think he's going to be a starter right away. What's that going to be doing? We've been hearing that he's been heavily linked to Man City. What's that going to be doing to your Phil Fodens, your Raheem Sterlings? In fact, I did read a tweet from Fabrizio Romano that says that if he does go to City, Sterling is going to be assessing his options.
Yeah,
that's
they're
going to
probably
be
going to be moving him on just to clear some funds as well.
Yeah, exactly. And is that really? Is that beneficial to your club? You mentioned his age just now. Yes, whilst he doesn't play like your typical 37-year-old, but it's a real tough one, Jerry, because honestly, if you look at it on a level of greatness for the Premier League, fantastic. Seeing him in one of the biggest commercial wide league in every Saturday and Sunday is fantastic, right? But how is that going to be hampering a Man City? How is that going to be hampering a Man United? He's even linked with Man United. But honestly, I don't think Man United needs someone like Ronaldo. We spoke about it the other day on Monday. Man United need a midfielder, central midfielder, somebody to help the likes of Paul Pogba, And this is the only puzzling thing. But honestly, if you ask me, I would think that definitely the greatest fit, if you look at it in terms of who he should go to, I think an Arsenal would be working best for a Cristiano Ronaldo. I think even a Leicester City would definitely fit that Ronaldo mold again on a footballing perspective only.
But does his commercial does his brand fit them in a way?
Exactly. CR7 is a brand. He's modeling for all sorts of things. He even modeled for Shopee. And if you're a Malaysian, you don't need branding for Shopee.
Yeah.
But when Ronaldo modeled for Shopee, Shopee's sales went up. I'm sure. I haven't read the stats, but
Yeah.
I'm sure the hits were
Don't forget him moving the Coke bottle out the way. He was like no to Coke and all the
Oh
shares
yeah,
went up.
good point. Their shares dropped. You see, Coca-Cola. We're talking about a heritage sort of a drink, generations.
Ronaldo
That's
says
the
no
brand.
to Coca-Cola. Half the world says no to Coca-Cola because they're his fans, basically.
Exactly. You know, and you know, doctors out there are saying we've been talking about this for years, and suddenly there's
Yeah.
this guy coming in and saying no to Coca-Cola, and everybody follows him. Yeah, I mean it's the brand, and the brand needs to be relevant. PSG, or Messi, the brand of Messi, is that whole PSG outlook now.
So I guess moving on from this, fans do let us know if you as well bought Clearman shampoo because of Ronaldo. Bought some of
Let us know.
because I certainly did, and I thought it worked for a bit, but I realized I guess my Indian hair needed a little bit more gentler oils, I guess, in that sense. But UEFA Champions League Group Stage Draw, which definitely sort of unearthed a few delicious groups out there, really. I mean, I don't want to sound so cringe, but I mean, who doesn't love Champions League, right? All those of you who are single and don't have a date on Valentine's Day, February 14, mark your calendars, because Champions League will be back. Champions League is there to save you, is there to hold you when you're alone in the nights, you know, it's there. It's just that Champions League, definitely, she's a tough partner. She requires a lot of
And
you.
Jerry,
Yeah.
just to speak about your point, not just single people, in a relationship, married people, girlfriend and wife is secondary, Champions League primary. I might get slaughtered, but that's the.
Oh man, Al, your wife better not hear that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's for all people out there. So basically, as you know, the Champions League group stages is split into 8 successive groups, and we're just going to focus on some of the English teams here. So I guess we'll start with Group A. I think Group A is an interesting group there with City and PSG. Wow. So the two all money teams come clashing with each other. Can you just imagine if Ronaldo moves to City and he faces Messi? Can you imagine Ramos? Can you imagine Ramos protecting Messi against Ronaldo?
I know.
It's just gonna. I mean, the tables have turned, man, in so many ways. I can't even. Could Ronaldo and Messi play again in the Champions League against each other? Is this sort of the group that brings about that rivalry? But rivalries aside, I think Group A with City, Paris, RB Leipzig, obviously from Germany, and Club de Brugge from Belgium. I think it's an interesting group. I'm just going to run through the groups here with you, Al, real quick, and then you just let me know what you think about the draws. Yeah. So Group B, I guess we're going to focus on the English teams, obviously. Group B, I think, is a challenging group for Liverpool with Atletico from Spain, obviously champions of Spain last year, Porto, and as well AC Milan. AC Milan, a force to be reckoned with in Champions League for so many years. And definitely a re-emerging force in Europe, I think. I think with a few smart deals and a smart management, I think they can be a force to be reckoned with, Al. So aside from that, the other English teams would be Manchester United in Group F with Villarreal, last year's Europa League winners, and Atlanta and Young Boys, as well as Chelsea in Group H with Juventus from Italy, of course, as we know, missed out on the Serie A, the Scudetto. They missed out on the Scudetto last year, but still a threat, definitely, I think would be a good game, Chelsea and Juventus, as well with Zenit from Russia and Malmo. So, so all the English teams do have it cut out. I think United, I'm not going to rule out Villarreal and Atlanta. I think they're two challenging teams, and definitely there'll be challenges along the way.
Definitely.
Yeah, so obviously the other interesting clashes would be in Group D with Inter and Real Madrid. Group D, Inter, Real Madrid, and as well with Group E with Bayern and Barcelona. Will Barcelona be looking to
That's another good one.
get some revenge on Bayern for the 7-up that they received?
Yep.
So Aldo, let me know what you think. So just to run through with you, City in Group A with Paris, Liverpool in Group B with Atletico, Chelsea in Group H with Juventus, and Manchester in Group F with, United in Group F with Villarreal. Yeah, so we will definitely, I think we just do a brief one on the group stages. We will definitely cover the Champions League a lot in the future. I think, guys, you don't have to go to AFTV or anything for Champions League content. Please do come to us because, yeah, we talk about the teams that are actually in the Champions League.
No way.
I'm just kidding over there. So, yeah, there'll be more Champions League content coming out. To those who are listening, if you are listening, do let us know what kind of Champions League content would you like and coverage. But we will be covering the games. I guess we can do a separate video on just Champions League group stages alone, L, where we can look at the stats and everything. So, just before we end, L, I just wanted to preview the Liverpool and versus Chelsea this weekend in Anfield. Obviously, it's a match week 3. It's already the third week of games, Al. I can't even imagine how it's the third week of games already. But obviously, Lukaku being back and Van Dijk being back from injury. So looking at that, I think that would be the clash of the game and definitely the game of the weekend. Just briefly tell me what you think. I think, Al, if Lukaku, this will be probably the biggest litmus test for him, the biggest acid test in that sense. I don't think there is a bigger test, or among the bigger tests in England is definitely Liverpool at Anfield. And if he can come up on top against a player like Van Dijk and usurp Liverpool's position, I think Chelsea would be definitely regarded as title favourites. I think it's a perfect test for Lukaku to prove himself, especially to the Chelsea faithful. And as well, equally, to be a test for Van Dijk to prove that his fitness is back, and the Van Dijk is the same Van Dijk that was strolling the pitches all those games ago, and that him missing out on the games didn't do much of a difference to his game. It's an interesting challenge there, Al. Do tell me what you think.
Yeah, definitely. The early game is going to be City Arsenal, but yeah, the one that I'm waiting for as well is going to be this Chelsea Liverpool game. I think we're going to be knowing a lot about what these two teams are going to be setting the tone for themselves for this season. I mean, you've got right with the formidable centre back against Chelsea with their formidable striker, and if you match pound for pound, I think Lukaku versus a Virgil van Dijk is definitely going to be giving you a quite an equal clash there. So of course, definitely that's something we want to see. I have mentioned before that Lukaku does not particularly perform that well in big games, but he's a much different animal today. I think going to Italy, me personally, against the likes of Liverpool in the past, he really troubled your likes of Martin Skrtel, but of course, Virgil van Dijk's a whole different type of an animal. That's going to be a definite clash, which I am ready to get to see how we actually do. Because if you look at Liverpool and if you look at Chelsea, I think Chelsea's strength at the moment is their attack. Liverpool's greatest strength, I think, if you talk about stability at the moment and consistency and everything in a package, is their defense, right? So if you look at it on that angle, you've got quite solid defense against, on paper, a very solid attack. So a lot's going to be known. A lot's going to be known in terms of Chelsea. I'm not ruling Liverpool out, actually. I think, honestly, because if you look at it, I think most predictions are in the side of blue London team. But you know what? Don't rule Liverpool out. I think we might be having a case of where this could be an upset, an away win, whatsoever. We never know, obviously. You know, Liverpool, I think Jurgen Klopp, he didn't have his best players in Liverpool. They always showed up in the big games, right? And particularly against Chelsea. Remember Coutinho against Mourinho, left corner bids, right? So I'm not ruling Liverpool out. I think it's going to be a definite clash.
And as well, Mo Salah scoring on his debut season against Chelsea when he returned,
exactly.
Scoring at Stamford Bridge, basically. I mean, it'll be interesting clash, and looking forward to just watch this game, and definitely we'll give you the preview, guys.
Yeah, can't wait for this game. I think this is the highlight of the weekend. I think.
Yeah, this is why we love football. This is why we watch the game, and this is why the Premier League is the spectacle.
Jerry, could a certain Portuguese be starting against Arsenal? That's another talking point as well. Pablo Mari, Cedric Suarez against Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think Mari is going to retire from football. Lukaku 1 week and Ronaldo the next week. I think he's going to be looking at another profession. I think, but I'm just kidding here. I think Interesting. What a
Yeah.
great conversation today. I think we've got
Yeah.
definitely more and more to witness, more and more to talk about, and more to enjoy as
definitely.
this season unfolds. So much more to look forward to. So it's been a pleasure. I'm Jerry, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel and to give us support.
Ciao guys. Take care.
Bye.
See you
Take
soon.
care.
Terima kasih. Bye bye. Take care.
Terima kasih.